Okay, we are live. Good morning. It's as close to 11 o'clock as we can get it. Like I said last week, we're going to be live as close to 11 as we can, because you know what? That's just the way that it is. So here we are. Good morning, Teresa. Thanks for
Good
hanging out with
morning.
me, as always. Thank you, everybody who's going to be watching live or on the replay. You know, as I always say every single week, we so appreciate you spending your time with us. I know, everybody's got a lot of things going on, and a lot of us have spring break coming up. So we're trying to tie up loose ends before our kids get out of school so we can spend time with them and all the things. So, we appreciate you spending an hour of that with us every week. Obviously, we hope and trust that it's beneficial for you and that we are able to share at least one message, point, sentence, word that means something to you. So we appreciate you letting us know if and when that happens too. If you want to leave us comments, leave us questions. We are going to start trying to take questions live too. So if you're hopping on live and you have a question for us, go ahead and put it in the comment box relevant to the episode, if we can do that, and we will circle back to it as best we can. But today we're talking about nervous system regulation and 3D reality being what we're currently experiencing versus what we want, and cycles repeating. I mean, all of it. I think you've probably noticed by now, we're episode 8 now. By now, a lot of the things we talk about really intertwine and intermingle, and it's all kind of the same few things kind of said different ways to really get our points across. But we have noticed in the collective energy, not in our own lives and in each other's and collectively, that there's a lot of pattern repeat going on right now. I also had somebody message me and say that she's like, I think this is the part where it gets worse before it gets better that you were talking about. And I'm just kind of like leaning in and trusting that it's all going to work out. And really, that's just, again, that's a cycle, that's a pattern too. Everything happens in patterns, but it's all for the betterment of the process of your journey, right? Because so many people, this is where being in circles like this and hanging out with people like us benefits you, because without knowing what's actually happening, it can drag you down, right? Like fully, it can drag you down, and it can it could break you, right? And so I want you to recognize, like, the Teresa and I are both, just quickly before we hopped on, just kind of sharing a couple of things going on in our personal life that we're not going to go into in detail, but just know that the sentiment is that it's patterns repeating again, right? So one of the things that we know we need to do is, look at, okay, well, what thought processes am I repeating that's creating this same reality? Like, where am I keeping my expectations of what's possible or what's expected? How am I keeping this vibration alive? And so we need to take responsibility, right? 100%. And one of the best ways we can take responsibility and start to make the shifts we need are, first of all, like we're always saying, awareness is more than half the battle, because the minute you're aware that something is wrong or that you are repeating a pattern or a cycle or whatever, is when you can start to make the change. Because obviously we don't know what we don't know, right? We say that probably every episode. But then to take it a step further and practice regulating your own nervous system. Because what's happening, like fundamentally what's happening when you're repeating a pattern, it's being shown to you so that you can transmute it, so you can move through it, so you can do something different this time. You're being given an opportunity to show up as, the woman that you keep saying you want to be. It's giving you an opportunity to do that. And for a lot of us, we've talked about this in past episodes too, a lot of us are just knee-jerk reacting to what's happening without realizing that we actually have control over what happens. Right. And so nervous system regulation is a huge piece of this that we really haven't talked about too much yet. Because what we need to do is ease our entire being into being okay with being this next new version of ourselves. Right.
Yeah, because, our nervous system is controlling our emotions. Mm-hmm. And our emotions is what controls everything. Our mm-hmm. emotional state, our health, our mental state, everything is a reflection of our emotions, whatever emotional state. I've heard this so many times too, whatever state your body is in, physically with disease or anything like that is only a product of your emotional state.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where this nervous system regulation is so important. And it's not just for the things that we're so hyper focused on manifesting, which is what I caught myself with yesterday. And I know these things, but if you're not walking the walk, they're going to be shown to you again to see where you're lacking in. So, you know, the situation yesterday that came up for me it's something that's triggered me many times for obvious reasons. If you see it from the human 3D aspect perspective of it, any person is going to be like 100%, Teresa, that is legit. Your feelings, your emotions, everything, 100. Any other person would lose their goddamn mind going through half of that shit.
Yes.
I caught myself going into old ways and patterns of being where I'm sharing with somebody, you know, this and that happened. I can't believe it. And in the middle of speaking, I'm like, stop.
What am I doing? Yeah. What am I doing
right now?
Yeah.
Because this is like every other part that you're trying to change and manifest into a new reality. It's the same fucking shit. No matter how legit this situation is, how painful it is, how unjust it is. If you lose your control right now of your emotions and allow your nervous system to get out of control, which is how it's always responded to this particular situation, it's never going to change.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's hard. But knowing the stuff that we know, I had to sit there. Like I went into meditation. I had to quiet my mind. Went straight to the things that I know. Breath work. Breath work is the number one thing for me. And the EFT tapping, I've also gone into a few times too. Sometimes I'll use that one. If I'm not really feeling like I'm about to spiral, but I'm kind of like not feeling too great, I'll use the tapping. But when I feel like it's starting to take over me, I go into the breath work. Because we have to break that energetic state. We have to break that response and create a new response to the new reality that we want to experience. So no matter, and I think I said this before in another episode too, it's like, if they cut your toe off, I don't care. Don't fucking react.
Don't react.
You might even die from this. Your fucking body is bleeding out. You have every right to feel the way that you feel, but you got to stop it. You got to cut it right then and there. You feel that emotion, let it go. Stop fucking reacting. Because the more and more we're giving to it, not only are we keeping this state, our energetic state, stuck there, never being able to go into another reality, but I mean, you just keep throwing your nervous system off over and over and over. And it also doesn't feel good. It feels like shit.
Yeah. Well, and that's
depression kicks in, anxiety. And then we lead to people soothe with alcohol, with drugs, with overeating, not even knowing that it's just a dysregulated nervous system.
Yeah. And that's exactly the point that I was just going to make, is like, overall, no matter what, like, let's just don't even consider the fact that we're manifesting or anything. Like, just consider the fact that it doesn't feel good, and you have the opportunity to not feel that way, right? Because what ends up happening, and like what Teresa's saying, for example, like when you are in this pattern and you're reacting, what ends up happening is your body becomes, I don't know if it becomes like an addiction, but it becomes programmed to react. So like, for example, a lot of people have it around money, right? So the second they have to look at their bank account, even if nothing is wrong, they have to look at their bank account. Their body all just immediately goes into this like dysregulated state, right? And it's like, well, that's not going to work, because if you're giving off that kind of energy around money, you're not going to have any more money, right? Like, you're not going to be given more, and the money you do have is going to flee because the energy is repelling. Same thing when we're talking about relationships. If we're talking about, you know, maybe we've split from our partner when we have a child with, right? If you see that person and it didn't end amicably, it's not going to feel good. Or if you know, maybe you were bullied in school. Like this is something that happened to me. I was bullied in school. And anytime I even think about one of the girls, it stresses me out. Like my whole body goes into like panic mode, right? And it's like, well, this is dumb. Like this is how many years ago? Like this is so silly that we're still here. But because, for a long, long time, every time I was around this person, my nervous system was not regulated because I was being like attacked, right? Like not like it doesn't feel good, right?
Because it's that trapped trauma and emotion.
Yes.
Connected to that energetic state. So that memory
exactly
of that thing. And this is why we have to be aware of this so that we can break that memory. So it doesn't keep going back to that same response every single time.
Right. Exactly. Because what we're trying to do with nervous system regulation, what we're really doing is just telling like ourselves and our nervous system and our body and everything is just like, it's okay. Like I'm safe. You're safe. Everything is fine. You don't need to freak out like this. Like Teresa and I did, we were doing a book club for a while, a couple of years ago. One of the books we did was The Greatest Secret, which is it's written by Rhonda Byrne, same as The Secret, but it is written 10 years later and it just takes it up another notch. And like, at this point, I would say skip The Secret and go right to The Greatest Secret because it covers all the things. And she talks about really just being present with, who you are and where you're going and all of that. But she also talks about, at least I think it's in this book, I'm pretty sure it is. She talks about like, there's no point in trying to resist how you feel, right? Because it's the resistance of how you feel that makes it prolonged, right? So what Teresa and I are talking about here and what she's talking about in this book is accept the fact, like surrender to the fact, okay, like my nervous system doesn't feel good. I am anxious. I don't feel good right now. This is the furthest from my joy I could possibly be. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm whatever. Acknowledge that that's how you feel. And then, okay, like, it's okay. Nervous system, anxiety, ego, whatever's happening. Like, I understand you're trying to keep me safe, but, nervous system specifically, like you can speak right to your nervous system and go, okay, you know what? I understand that you're trying to keep me safe, but your job is to keep me feeling whole and, joyful and good. And this is not helping me. This is not keeping me healthy because like Teresa said, prolonged dysregulated nervous system leads to depression, anxiety, and much worse conditions, right? Like just overeating and, your health starts to suffer. And if you've watched, I know she'll say this too, so I'm just going to speak for both of us. Highly recommend you watch a documentary called Heal, where it talks about how you can literally heal yourself by healing your emotional state. And basically what it's talking about is regulating your nervous system, right? Around the things that are bringing you the anxiety. And like we're talking about this, we can even take manifestation totally out of the picture here for this conversation if need be, because it really is about just living in full alignment with who you are. Who you are naturally is not somebody who's stressed out, anxious, depressed, angry, none of that, right? Like we are supposed to be in a regulated, joyful, following our bliss state, like all the time. That's how it's supposed to be.
Right. So we can take out our main desires ultimately, right? Mm-hmm. But in reality, we never stop manifesting.
No.
You're manifesting in your sleep. You're manifesting right now. We're manifesting everything. We're always manifesting, period. Always. So this is so important because what are you continuing to manifest? This is helping us break it down even more, because wherever we're reacting to, we're manifesting it.
Yeah.
Good, bad. We talked about this. So nervous system regulation is a big deal. Yes. And then also taking into consideration that even if we're not focusing on manifestation, because we're focusing on whatever is disrupting our nervous system, we're bringing more of that and more of that and more of that into our reality because we're giving it our attention again.
Yeah.
So this is why a lot of us are like, well, how come things aren't changing? How come I keep experiencing this same reality over and over and over and over? Maybe you're not focusing on it like you used to before. Maybe you are starting to think different stuff towards this. Maybe you have affirmations to switch into this new reality. But the moment that you lose control of your nervous system is like putting yourself back at square one over and over and over. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this was like the missing link for us to bring in our manifestations, or for some people who are stuck like, hey, Danielle, I've been doing this for 90 days. Everything you've been telling me, and it's just not working. Well, Are you reacting to everything in your reality still? Well, yeah, because so-and-so pissed me off and they keep doing it.
Yeah. Well,
there's the answer right there.
Yeah.
Reacting. We have to stop just lazily reacting and start consciously reacting and getting this under control, or else you'll never, ever, I didn't make up these rules. You're never going to shift into this new reality.
Right.
You will stay stuck for eons.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly it, right? Like that's such a good point. I'm so glad we're talking about this. And this is why I love these conversations so much, because we're just like, I don't know, let's talk about nervous system regulation. And here we are, right? But yeah, like it's true, like, because ultimately we are manifesting all of the time. And that's why even Abraham Hicks, if you guys follow Abraham Hicks on YouTube or have been to any of her seminars or anything, she talks about like, just focus on feeling better than you do right now, because ultimately her message is that we are manifesting all of the time. Your entire reality is just a projection of what you've been focusing on out into your reality. So if you start caring way more about how you feel in any given moment, and that being, then utilizing tools like nervous system regulation and things like that, ultimately your entire reality shifts and is better. And as a result of that, you start experiencing better things and you can manifest more easily. And this is where you get to the point where you just like think something and it manifests, because you're in alignment with your true energy, because you're not reacting to things that are dysregulating your nervous system, right? Like a girl that Teresa and I both follow, I saw one of her little TikToks the other, or whatever it was, and she was making a really good point. And it's something that I've thought about before, but I don't know, just the way she said it just like hit a different way. And she's like, look, and I may have even said this in another episode, but she's like, look, when you get an unexpected bill, old me and most of us, we freak out and our nervous system gets dysregulated and we react to this bill. And she's like, no, what I learned and what you guys need to start practicing is when you get an unexpected bill and you freak out, you're throwing your faith out the window. You're not trusting at all that you're supported by the universe. You're not trusting at all that everything is always working out for you. I mean, she didn't say those things, but that's the gist of what she's saying. And she says, so when you get an unexpected bill, no matter the size of it, should get excited, because it means that also there's more money coming to pay this bill, because we are always being supported by the universe. And I know people are going to watch this and go, that's not true, because I've gotten all these bills and there's not been money coming. That's because you're freaking out about the bill and you're not trusting that you're not leaning into the fact that you are supported 1,000,000% of the time. Everything is always working out for you. And the more deeply you believe that, the more easily things will work out for you, right? Like even if, let's say you're starting a new business and you have clients say they're going to sign on and then they don't, or they end up, leaving early, or, things are not picking up the way that you want it to, or you're disappointed about, this not working out. It doesn't matter. Like it's not about any one person or anything. It's just in general, you're being supported. Things are going to work out for you and it'll be okay. Right. So you have to start turning your awareness to how you're reacting to things going on in your life, both positive and negative, right? You can see where things already feel good to you and where things don't feel good. And sometimes even things that we think that we want still dysregulates our nervous system, because our nervous system is not ready to accept this new level.
And we can turn, it's a perspective shift, like we talked about last time, turning everything into gratitude.
Yes.
You have this bill, but what did you receive for whatever you're paying for?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the electricity bill? Is it the water bill? You can switch it to, I'm grateful that I have this bill. That means that I have a home to live in. That means that I have electricity to use to be on here, to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
You have your internet, your Wi-Fi, so that you can talk to people all over the world conveniently.
Mm-hmm.
Switching the energy up, switching our perspective on everything.
Yeah.
That's going to help control that nervous system, because we're not spiraling. Oh, you know
right.
what? Thank you, universe. Thank you, universe, for what Danielle is saying, meaning more money is coming. Thank you for allowing me to have this bill, to receive the things that I received from this, right? And just stay in that state of gratitude.
Yes.
To keep that nervous system under control.
Yeah. And that's
one
huge.
Of the easiest ways.
It is. That is huge. Like nervous system regulation I think some people get confused and think like, well, what does that even mean? It just means like self-soothing, right? Like noticing when you don't feel good and then doing whatever you find works for you. And you might have to try a couple of different things to get yourself back into alignment. And like Teresa's saying, gratitude is the fastest way to keep it from spiraling at the very least, right? At the very least, it will keep you from spiraling. And having an attitude of gratitude is the number one
way to go.
Yeah, like it is.
The only way to go.
That will change your life faster than anything. That was something that I've been doing for I don't even know how long. It's one of those first things that I started. I remember I had a repair guy here fixing my dryer, and I was like, I let him in, and then I got back to I'm writing my gratitude. Sorry, like I'm busy right now. I'm writing my list of things that I'm grateful for, because no, man, I'm not skipping that. That is necessary.
We have to, because there's so many things throughout our day from the time that we wake up that can throw us off. Yeah. So many. So if we're not intentionally focusing on gratitude, you're going to lose control throughout your whole day. Literally.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And
go ahead. I was just going to say, almost everything that we encounter is something that can trigger us all day.
Oh, well, yes. Like, okay, so this is a dumb example, but I do like to give dumb real life examples. So I, drive my point home. So, okay, like this morning. So yesterday I'm thinking about, okay, so tomorrow we've got, XYZ after school for my son has we got conferences and we got book fair and we got, he's 8, right? We got all these things. And so I was like, okay, so I probably should make this soup that I want to make in the slow cooker, because I can get it going in the morning and then it'll be ready. We can go out and do what we're going to do and it'll be ready by the time we get home. And then about an hour ago, I was like, oh shit, I haven't done the soup. And I know I don't really have time because I've got all these other things I want to do. And I've got, and I start thinking, okay, well, he's off school early on Thursday. He's not school on Friday. Spring break's coming. I've got things I want to get done before spring break comes and all this stuff. And I was just like, oh no. And then, so that could have, and old me would have been I would have just started freaking out, right? I would have been resentful that my husband wasn't helping, even though he doesn't know what's going on, because I didn't say to him ever at one time that I want to make slow cooker soup tomorrow and that I would like his help. Like, so that was old me too. Is I would just get mad at him for things that he didn't even know he did wrong because I didn't say anything, which is totally not fair. Or I would have gotten stressed out about all the things I have to do. And I'd be thinking about all the things that need to get done and how this is setting me back. And then of course, now you're in this state where now I'm not relaxed. Now I'm stressed out. Now I'm frantic. Now I'm much more likely to cut myself or something when I'm chopping up whatever, because I'm not paying attention to what's going on. Right. And so, like I said, this is kind of a goofy example, but this is how easy it is for our nervous system to get dysregulated.
No, it's a perfect example. It's a perfect example. It's real life shit that we do, that we experience every single day. Now, what did you do? Your emotions control your nervous system and your vibration, your frequency. So all you did was throw yourself off.
Yeah.
And then you're creating more of this fucking madness, right? Because whatever we're focusing on grows. You're in this lower vibration. So not only are you creating this stuff, now you're a vibrational match to bullshit
going wrong.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
And everything in the universe that exists at that frequency is now being drawn towards you. As you said, oh, then I cut my finger. Fuck yeah, you did, because it's a vibrational match. You are a match to all the bullshit.
Right. So this is how I used to operate. Yes, this is how I used to operate. This is, I'm not necessarily reliving an actual memory, but that exact scenario, more or less, has happened more than once. So anyway, so this morning I was like, okay, sorry. No, that's all right. So I was like, okay. So I look at the clock and I'm, because of course all these realizations can happen in split seconds. This is not like I'm standing there for 5 minutes, like weighing my options. Right. And it just and I was like, okay, no. What is the easiest and most peaceful way that I can still set myself up for success this evening, so that when we get home from what we're doing, I'm not going to be stressed out and rushing to make dinner, but it's also a good dinner and da, 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 da. And I was like, okay, wait, I was going to make pasta later in the week, and I wanted to make, I'm pulling all my Martha Stewart moves, and I wanted to make like fresh buns. Right. And then I was like, no, you know what? That's okay. Meet myself in the middle here. There's frozen buns in the freezer. I will just take those out now. They can thaw. I'll make some garlic butter and I'll toast them up in the oven later. And we'll just do spaghetti tonight. It's not what I initially wanted, but you know what? This is the most peaceful way that I can still put a good dinner on the table without being stressed out and cutting my finger and being an energetic match to bullshit and all the other stuff. Right. So, and then I walked out of the kitchen feeling good. You know, I'm like, okay, sweet. I'm setting my future self up for success. I kept myself from spiraling now. You know, 4:30 p.m. Danielle is going to be very happy that I decided to do this. And, you know, everything's right in the world. But we get stuck in our own cycles of thinking. And if we don't break free, like how many people do you know that they're always complaining about something and then bad things continue to happen to them? And it's like, well, because you are continuously giving fuel to the shitstorm fire that is your life because you are hell-bent on focusing on what's going wrong. These are the people that complain about it being Monday and then complain about it being Sunday and then complain about it being, you know, this day and having to do laundry. It's like, you know what? We all
I remember when I used to do that.
Yes. I used to do that too. And it's like, why? Like, why? If you, and this is, I mean, and this is where it comes down to also frustrating for Teresa and I now as coaches, because it's like, okay, look, do you want problems or do you want solutions? Because like, I'm not going to sit here and listen to you complain more than one time about it. But, you know, it comes down to perspective shift too, right? Which again helps with the nervous system regulation. If you have to go to work Monday to Friday anyway, whether it's a job you like or not, you have to go, right? Your options are either quit and start your own business, or at the very least, find reasons to be grateful for the job you have and stop. Like Sunday's going to come anyway. You know what I mean? Like there's no point in being pissed off because then it ruins your whole Sunday too. So now your whole weekend is down to like Saturday.
And then
you're probably running
you rationalize to yourself, well, it's only my job that I don't like. That's the only place where I'm being negative. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. Manifesting good and bad is not going to stop in just that moment, just because it's just work and it's not a big deal, but everything else, you're doing everything right. No, it's not. It's affecting everywhere in your life. Honestly, I think that we should do the magic book just to show how powerful this gratitude is. I think it'd just be amazing for everybody to be focusing on the same thing. How powerful. I don't know. I feel like it would just propel all of us forward in our lives in general.
I love it.
I love it.
The magic is, the last time you and I did it together, this is when we were doing our book club. I think that's even how it started, was we were doing the magic together, and it was amazing. I remember all the girls who participated had crazy things happening, and it just really does really fully express the power of gratitude and how that perspective shift can really, like, I don't mean to sound cliche, but it literally will change your life. And then because you're living in that state of gratitude, like we were talking about at the beginning, now your nervous system has a better fighting chance of being regulated more of the time, because you are consciously focusing on more positive thoughts and feelings and emotions.
Yeah. And it really brings to light all the different areas where we don't even realize that we're not giving gratitude.
Yes.
You know, I think it's amazing how it's something different each day. And it's like, oh shit, I haven't been talking nice to my body. I haven't been talking nice to my cells, you know, just like you were saying earlier, telling your body, hey, it's okay. Speak to it. Yes, it's alive. Your cells are listening 24/7 to what commands we're giving it, just like the subconscious. Yeah. It's alive. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think that would be amazing. Amazing. And everybody would have so many shifts. They'd be in the comments like, yo, the miracles don't stop.
That's it. And the best part is, even if only you and I do it, we still benefit. So anybody else is just icing on cake, right?
And whoever comes across this, you know, these videos in the future.
Yeah, exactly. I like that.
The whole world's going to benefit.
Yeah. Well, yes. And, you know, isn't that the whole point, right? Is to lift the collective, right? Because if you can't tell yet, Teresa and I get extremely frustrated by watching people unnecessarily suffer. It's like, there is a better way. You don't have to you don't have to think that way. You don't have to focus on that. This doesn't have to be your reality. However, then there's the whole thing about, you know, they have to be ready and whatever, because you can't push it on anybody who's not ready to accept it. But it does make me just mental when I see well, and especially now the depth that Teresa and I understand it too, like the depth of how it works and how things in your life can unfold based on what you believe and programming, and how basically everything can be undone with reprogramming your mind in whatever way feels best to you, right? Like everything can be undone. It's like, so it's frustrating. And I think that's one of the things that continues to drive both Teresa and I to do what we're doing, and to, you know, finally just get over ourselves and just get out there and say what we have to say, because it's like, it's making me mental. Like more people need to understand that they have way more control over what they experience in their life than they think. And if every person focused on gratitude, regulating their nervous system, and just shifting their perspective to more positive, just like looking for the silver lining basically, and looking for proof that everything is always working out for you. Like imagine what the world would be like if even a 16th of the people on the planet were doing that. Yeah. Right? Like that's the world. I mean, that's the world that I would like to live in. That would be amazing.
Yeah. There would be a lot less of people hurting people for sure.
Well, and that's just it.
You know, because everybody prior to is just projecting their pain onto each other for whatever situation that they're going through. And when you're in this state of gratitude, it's like your brain doesn't even think that way. Your brain doesn't think to hurt other people. Your brain is like, fuck, I feel so good. I feel so amazing. Like I want to share this. And it's like when somebody comes at you, you're able to say, hey, honey, it's okay. I understand exactly what you're feeling right now. It's okay for you to be angry. It's okay for you to feel this way. But guess what? Look at what I've learned. Now, if you do X, Y, and Z, oh my gosh, your life is going to become so beautiful and so amazing, unrecognizable.
Yeah.
You know, but that's what we're here for. Yeah. We're here to create this paradigm shift. And I mean, these conversations are good for us too. Yes. Like we said from the beginning, we're being open and transparent. We go through our own stuff. You conquer one level, then you go on to the next level of challenges on that journey. And sometimes we need reminders too, like, hey, there is nothing that we cannot do or have, speak and think into existence. But it's really putting in that time, putting in that effort, right? Last night, somebody reminded me too, like, hey, it doesn't matter how big this issue is. Get your fucking pen out. Get your paper. Rewrite the goddamn story. And I was like, I know that. I know that, silly goose. Like,
oh, silly me. Yeah.
Oh, silly me. Exactly. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Nervous system dysregulation. Come on now.
Yeah. And then the flip side of that is when you are regulated, this happened to me a couple of days ago. I'm in a good place. I hit my income goal for February. Things are coming up, Danielle. Everything is good. I'm loving life. I've been very patient with how things are unfolding, understanding, like really, like we've been talking about this for a while now, fully leaning into everything is always working out for us, and, you know, continuing to see proof of that. And then being appreciative of the proof that I see, and, you know, all of that. And then, so I was writing out, I was doing some scripting, some journaling / scripting. I kind of went back and forth between the two things. And I caught myself kind of thinking about something I thought I should want. And then I was like, okay, wait a minute. Since September, everything that I have written down has now manifested. Like I had an epiphany the other day that the reality that I have right this second today is I manifested every single deliberately thing in my life. Everything is like, I need to find the scripting in one of my notebooks to prove it. Right. And so I was like, well, you better be careful what you write down, because anything you write down is going to come true, right? Because I was thinking about how many like private clients I would take on and this, that. And I'm like, wait, do you even want private clients? Because that's, you know what I mean? If you're going for more ease and flow and less time working, that's now you're adding more things to your plate, not less. Is that something you actually want? And then I was like, no, not really. Actually, I don't really want that. So, well, better not fucking write it down then, because you're going to get some private clients. And it's not like, you know, not that I don't want to help people on that level, but it's just like, but this is the other way of thinking that Teresa and I are always talking about too. It's like, but you can create any reality you want. Like I can create a reality where I'm making the same impact on people in a group setting. You know what I mean? Where I don't have to spend time one-on-one, but what I'm saying and who I'm saying it to and how I'm saying it is valuable in the same way, right? So this is where a lot of the, when you have your nervous system regulated and you understand how it all works and it starts to kind of click for you, you really start to understand how it all works. And you can literally have, like Teresa just said, you can literally have anything that you want. There is no like, oh, I should settle for this and I shouldn't ask for this. Like, no, it can be anything you want. And you need to, it becomes easier to question, like, wait a minute, why does it have to be like that? Remember my silly cupcake example from a couple of weeks ago, right? Like, why do I have to make it look this certain way? Like, it doesn't have to be that way. I can make it something else, right? Just like in our businesses too. Like and it doesn't help that you have people all over freaking social media and the internet telling you that you have to do X, Y, and Z because that's the only way in the algorithm this and blah, 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 bullshit that. And it's like, no, like none of that matters if you can master creating your own reality. Like, then it doesn't matter what the algorithm says. It doesn't matter if, Facebook and Instagram, okay. So apparently Instagram and Facebook were down earlier today. I was not really in the know of this, but anyway, apparently Facebook and Instagram were down today. There's going to be an influx now of posts of people who are selling you marketing and sales things who are going to say, see, you can't rely on social media, buy my thing. And then there's going to be people like the girls that we follow who are going to say, see, I create my own reality and I'm making money no matter what internet is doing. You know what I mean? And it's like that. What reality would you rather? I would rather live in the one where, guess what? It doesn't matter what social media is doing. I'm still making money every single day. Right. And so you get to choose what's true for you. It all comes down to beliefs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's like every day we have a choice. Do you feed into the collective? Do you not feed into the collective? Like weird example, but, I used to be addicted to the news, always watching it, not knowing that I'm feeding into all of the fear. I lived in a state of fear constantly, thinking somebody's going to break into my house, somebody's going to kidnap me, because everything that I was feeding my mind, right? I was feeding into that reality of all these things on the news. Then you stop watching it. I have no attention towards that. I don't see any of that stuff. It's not existing in my reality, period. Yeah. If we don't feed it, it cannot grow. If we ignore it, it disappears. Cut off its supply, it dies. Yeah. That's exactly it. Right. It's funny because it reminded me of, I went to see that movie Notorious in the theater, like freaking years ago now. Right. And so in that movie, at some point there's like, it's about Notorious B.I.G. if you guys haven't seen it. So obviously at some point there's like drug shootouts and things, right? And I remember saying to the person I went to the movie with, we were walking back to the car after, and I was like, I feel like I'm going to be shot at right now. Like, I feel like I should be on like high alert, right? And it's because I didn't know any of this stuff then. And I just thought it was kind of funny. You literally dysregulated your nervous system just by something you were watching. Yeah, no. And this is why you guys, oh my God, like, let's just go off on this tangent for a second. You have to be so careful about what you consume, especially the movies you watch. Like, there was a movie I was trying to watch. It looked like it was going to be interesting. And my husband really likes action movies. And I tried to get into it. And I got like 5 minutes in. I was like, I can't fucking watch this. And I turned it off because I was like, I don't want any of this going into my subconscious mind. Yeah. We need to go chick flick. We need to go true empowering story. Comedy. Yeah. We need to go rom-com. We need to go, no, you can't. You have to be very careful because I don't know if Teresa and I have said this before, but if not, you'll hear us say it many times over the course of the life of this podcast show and of us. But your mind does not know the difference between something that is real and something that is imagined. It doesn't know the difference between something that's happening to you and something that's happening to somebody else. It doesn't even know when you're talking about somebody else or yourself. You have to be so careful because your subconscious mind just takes everything as personal and true and right now. So if you're watching documentaries about, people being murdered and dragged through it's like, no, you don't, no. And at the very least, I have
I have developed a little bit of a skill where when I'm watching a movie, I can tell that it's fake. Like I really can pick out like, oh, the actor is now they're told to stand here and they're told, so I can kind of remove a little bit, but still like you don't want to put that shit in your subconscious. Like I don't like watching even things about like history. Derek's like, well, it really happened. And I was like, that's fine, but I don't need it happening in my mind. You know what I mean? Like I don't need to give it any more energy than that. I don't want to give energy or attention to anything bad that's happening. And my sister was over yesterday and she's like, oh, did you hear about XYZ? And did you hear about this and that? And I'm like, no, none of that. I don't know any of that stuff. I'm not aligned with it. So it's not showing up in my reality. I don't watch reality shows. Because reality shows are not actually real. They are edited to look more dramatic than they need to be. And then it makes you feel like everybody out there has some kind of like ulterior motive. And it's like, I don't want to, no, I want to believe that people are good. I want to believe that the people in my life are supportive. Plus, I don't want to contradict the work I'm doing, listening to my subliminals, right? Writing in my journal, scripting. Like I'm manifesting that people are always supportive of me. I only receive positive feedback. You know, our following is growing. Our customer bases are growing. Like, why do I want to then watch a show about somebody going bankrupt and losing everything? And no, not supportive of the life that I'm creating.
Cheaters.
Yeah.
Nobody's honest. Nobody believes in true love anymore.
Yeah. Like you don't.
Family dynamic no longer exists. Marriage is shit.
No, exactly. And you know, it's like, even I remember when Derek and I, we had already been married a little while, but he started working at this job and all the guys there are already like, oh, ball and chain this and old lady that and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, and they were kind of like mocking him for like still being in a happy relationship. Right. And they're like, oh, well, you'll figure it out. It's just, you know, and he's like, but why does it have to be like that? Like, why do you, and this is before we knew any of the stuff about being deliberate about what you're thinking about. But he's like, but why? Like, why are you still married then if you don't like this person? Like, I don't understand why you continue to choose to wake up next to this person if you are unhappy. So are you actually unhappy or are you just like, it's like a rite of passage now to bitch and complain about your wife? Like, I don't understand what's going on here. You don't have to feed into the collective. And you know what? A lot of the time we feed into the collective and choose probably unintentionally to live with a dysregulated nervous system is because it's easier to blend in than it is to stand out. It's easier to just agree and go along with the gossip and go along with the complaining and blah, 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 bitching about the price of gas and groceries. Like, I don't need anybody telling me anything about, I don't want to hear about inflation. I don't want to hear about price of groceries. I don't want to hear about price of gas. I don't want to hear about housing prices. Like, that doesn't matter to me. In my world, what the economy is doing is completely irrelevant. Like, it doesn't matter to me because what I have to offer and what I'm doing, like Teresa and I are working in conjunction with the universe. Like I'm channeling messages, she's channeling messages. We're doing high service work here. So it doesn't scare me because I know that no matter what, my work is of high service, right? So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing and it's going to continue to work out for me. Right. And same with Teresa. Like I'm not going to give any attention to anything going on that doesn't support the beliefs that I am instilling in my own mind. Why do I want to spend time undoing what I've spent time doing? And already you're already, you know, swimming upstream because you're trying to undo years of programming too. Right. And in some of this stuff goes all the way back. Like it's in your DNA by now, epigenetics, if you're, you know, familiar with that. It's like you're literally by now, some of the traumas of our past lineages is like literally in our DNA. And you can change all of that too. But I'm just saying, like, you're already swimming upstream. So then you want to make it harder for yourself by watching the news and watching war movies and listening to country songs about cheating on your wife. Like, what? No, no.
Yeah. Or just being around people in general who are not happy.
Yeah. You know, I can't.
They always say misery loves company. And it's true. There was a point in my life where I hated my life and I hated to see people that were happy. Yeah. Because deep down internally, I was craving that and I didn't have it. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing. So watch what you're watching, watch who you're around. Most of these people they're not happy with their own life. I used to say, fuck marriage. I'm never, ever going to be married again. Like, girl, you're going to stay in that marriage. Like, aren't you miserable? What about you? What about yourself? I was projecting my own shit onto other people. Mm-hmm. And it's not cool, but when you're living unconsciously, you don't even realize what you're doing.
Well,
So
that's
this
it.
is why we have to surround ourselves with conscious people as much as possible. Obviously, there's still some people that we love, family or whatever, who may never be on the same level, but that's where we have to be standing in our power.
Yeah.
In this higher vibration, in the state of love, to see through that illusion, to see the truth of what's actually being said from their mouth. Because if not, you're going to take it all in. You're going to start thinking about it like, fuck, you know what? He's right. I am miserable. Like, I'm stuck with this bitch for the rest of my life. I can't. Where on the opposite spectrum, you're going to be seeing all the things that you're grateful. Thank God I have this life partner. Thank God in this world of fucking madness, I have somebody who always has my back 24/7. Somebody that I can count on, that can count on me. We have a beautiful home, a beautiful family. We're growing a fucking empire together, building an empire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Oh, 100%.
you will not be able to do that if you're not standing in your power, working on your energy, working on your vibration, working on your nervous system. You'll fall into that trap.
Oh, you will. 1000%. Yeah. 1000%.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I mean, my husband and I got into some kind of whatever it is, what it is, you know, it happens. And, you know, I had this, you know, really, I went into gratitude too. And I was like, man, you know what? Like, we've been through a lot of shit in 14 and a half years, and he's been there the entire time, you know, like he's been with me through some of the worst things that I or he or we together have been through, you know, and I've, you know, I'm not going to lie to you. Some of that I was really nasty to him, you know, especially like well before, you know, I knew any of this, what I know now. And I was like, I mean, you can see it in photos of yourself. You can see the different stages of where you were and how happy or unhappy you were. You can see it. I can look back at the photos and go, okay, well, this was going on at this stage and this was, it's funny to even look at pictures when you think, like at that point when you thought you were happy, and looking at it back now, you're like, oh my God, like you can see that was a facade. Like I wasn't actually happy. Right. But so, you know, I go into gratitude. Wow. My husband has been with me through all of that, all of my stages, all of my, you know, weight gains and losses and mood swings and emotional this and hormones that and job this and career that and starting a business and like, and entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Okay. Especially like I'm telling you, it's like all kinds of ways it is difficult. I have had one official ultimatum given to me and several unofficial, you know, like it's not easy. But so if I want to sit here and go, well, what a jerk. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that, blah, blah, blah. Like you can do that all day long because you're always going to find what you're looking for. You're always going to find reasons to be pissed off at somebody if you want to be pissed off at them. Or you can choose to be productive and go, okay, you know what? Yeah, like that did happen. But this is the part that I played, because at the very least, I attracted the situation, which means at the very least, I'm a vibrational match for it. Even if I don't think I did anything wrong in that situation, I was still a vibrational, like I still welcomed it in by being, or not even by being, by not working on regulating my nervous system and not working on following my joy and not working on focusing on gratitude, right? Like bad things, like Teresa and I said, I think it was last week. It's not that bad things don't happen to us. It's just that we bounce back from them quicker because we see what's actually happening. And it's never about the actual situation that's going on, right? It's a culmination of other things, including how deliberate have you been with the reality that you're creating? Because so many of us we wake up, like think about, I used to be like this. I know Teresa used to be like this. We wake up, you don't have a plan for the day. You just wake up and you're just like going about your motions and your, you know, your things and what you should be doing and whatever, especially when you're employed and you work, you know, 9 to 5 and you're, you know, doing that whole matrix dance, right? Like I'm so thankful, even if things don't always go the way that I, you know, want them to go. I'm so grateful that I know what I know and I have the awareness to be able to shift things around when need be, right? Because fuck, I do not ever want to go back to who I used to be. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's so important though, too. You know, what we're doing first thing in the morning. That's, if you're going to do your meditation, you're going to do your gratitude, put yourself in a really good feeling state, first off, where your nervous system is under control. Or you can start it off with, let's think about all the shit that has to get done.
Yeah.
Instantly, you're going to take yourself out of the state that you need to be in to have a good fucking day, for everything to work out.
Exactly.
And dysregulate your nervous system. And then that just tumbles down, spirals through your whole day.
Yeah.
It's reflected. Whereas we start off in this strong state, we're able to go through these waters with a lot more ease. You're able to handle the situations, right? You're in your power. You're in your truth. Just like with you have to be standing in your power. You have to be in your truth, so that when somebody that close to you, like your husband or your wife, is coming at you with these ultimatums and stuff, that you're standing in your truth. That you're doing what is right. And then you'll receive the answers and how to respond a lot more easily than when you're not standing in your power. You're not having a regulated nervous system. That's it. That's your complete chaos.
Yeah.
Whereas in your power with the regulated nervous system, you can react in a way that's going to diffuse the situation, to have them have understanding of where you're coming from,
Yes. Well, I mean, even trying to have any kind of like open communication with a dysregulated nervous system is like a complete waste of time, because all you're going to hear, for me at least, defense.
Right.
I go into defense mode instead of actually hearing what is being constructively presented to me most of the time. I mean, sometimes, it's the other person needs to be regulated too. We get it, right? But if, you know what I mean? Like going into defense mode is not productive at all. And so if you're starting and think about it, when you start your day by just reacting to what's happening, you basically are starting in defense mode right from the minute you get up, right? I want to play offensive. I start my day, I lay in bed and I think about things I'm grateful for first. I get up and write it down. I just lay there and I just think, oh my God, I'm so grateful for my bed. I'm so grateful for this house. I'm so grateful for my clients. I'm so grateful for this and that. And I just list off whatever I feel like listing off. And then I declare that something is going to happen today that is getting me closer to my manifestations. And then, so now I'm starting my day, not only on the offensive, but now I've already declared what I want to happen today. So now, on top of being on the offensive, now I'm scanning my reality constantly, or my reticular activating system is scanning my reality constantly to pick out what's that thing today that's going to move it. And then sure enough, every single day, and I've been doing this particular practice for about a week or 10 days now. And every single day at some point in the evening, I get that, oh my God, that was it. That was the thing today that's moving the needle. And then from there, and what I was doing previously without that piece is I would just get up and I would go and I make my coffee and I listen to something, Abraham Hicks or Mel Robbins or a podcast or something that's going to be feeding my mind with supportive, loving energy that's going to help me create what I want instead of taking away from what I'm trying to get at. Right?
Right.
You have to.
I just want to, because you were talking about how the other person needs to regulate their nervous system sometimes, right? And then I think somebody had asked you too, like, can we change habits in the person that we love, or can we transform them? And I'm still reading that book. I haven't gone through the book yet, but there was one part that I wrote down that I thought was like so powerful. And it says, in praying for another, and for me, praying is speaking straight to your subconscious, to the God source power within you directly. That's how I see prayer.
Right.
Because in praying for another, know that your silent inner knowing of wholeness, beauty, and perfection can change the negative patterns of the other's subconscious mind and bring about wonderful results.
I believe that 100%.
There's the answer for that. I know it's like going left really quick, but when she said that, I was like, oh, you know what? I need to bring this up. That's how powerful we are.
Yeah.
It's true. Are we changing the reality for ourselves, but we can use our mind to change the subconscious of another. That's pretty fucking powerful right there.
Well, it is. And at the very least, something that we've known for quite a long time is that light always wins over dark. Like always. Positive always wins over negative. So when people say like, oh, but so-and-so is so negative and I have to spend time with them, it's like, you know what? Don't don't feed into it and just keep doing what you're doing, because
Control your nervous
eventually,
system.
yeah, control your nervous system, regulate yourself. They'll come around. They have to. They have to. It's just what it is. It cannot be any other way. Light always wins over dark every single time. It might take a little while, right? But it will definitely happen. Like when I've told you the story. When I started deliberately manifesting and working on all this stuff, he was like not on board, thought I was totally nuts, like just wasn't into it. And I just stayed the course. I just kept choosing to believe. And I didn't know as strongly as I know now what I was doing, but I was being pushed, right? I just kept following that nudge to stay positive and keep doing what I'm doing. I had an inner knowing that it was the right way to go. And eventually he came around. Like I started noticing that he would say more like, well, the silver lining is type perspective shifts. And well, think about it like this though. And I was like, okay, it's working. And by now we're both like it's not even about being positive. Really. Like, I don't want to be like toxically positive or anything like that, but we are, I mean, for lack of a better like explanation, I would say we're both walking around beacons of light, right? Like people gravitate to us. We both draw in people who need what we have. Sometimes we notice too, like we'll go somewhere that's empty and within 10 minutes, it's full of people. And he's like, why does that always happen? I was like, because we're energetic magnets, man. Like people, they don't even
literally
understand.
It says that's one of the effects. You'll notice when you go places that'll be empty. As soon as you walk in, all kinds of people walk in after you every single time.
Yeah. And it happens to us like almost every single date day. We're out having coffee or whatever. Almost every single time the place will be empty when we get there, or maybe one other person or whatever. And it's full by the time we leave. It happens in the stores. It happens in the restaurants, everything. And I'm like, that's visible proof that we are a higher vibration. Energy is attracted to us. Right. And it's funny. And hiking trails too. Right. Like, and that's kind of interesting
to
too,
the flame, you know?
Yeah, well, exactly. And yeah, it's just funny. So that's what I mean. Like when I say light attracts like light and it always wins over darkness, like just stay the course, focus on yourself and just trust that everything is always going to work out. And don't forget, like Teresa and I've been saying and preaching now for, 8 episodes, you create your reality. Whatever is happening in your reality is there because you agree with it and you believe in it. So if you don't like what's happening, take responsibility first for the fact that you created what you experienced, probably unintentionally, right? Most of us have been walking around not knowing any better. And we've unintentionally created a lot of circumstances for ourselves that we don't maybe, if I could choose to do it from scratch again, this is not what I would choose. Well, okay, that's fine. But start again, right? Now use the contrast to create the clarity you want. Regulate your nervous system so that you feel good in all situations. The faster you feel good, even where you are, the faster you'll get where you want to go. That's the funny part. A lot of us, I think, and I used to be like this. I used to think, well, I don't want to be, I don't want to put out contentment with where I am because this is not where I want to be. I don't want to give the universe like mixed messages. And it's like, okay, I understand that. And it is a bit of a paradox, but that's not how it works. When you are content and happy with what you have, that is the perfect energy to be like, hey, here, have more. Right?
Right. It's just being happy with where you are, but still you can want more.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're wrong, you're selfish, you're greedy, none of that stuff. You should want more. It's our birthright to have more. It's our birthright to be rich. These are all natural things that we should have. We shouldn't even be struggling.
No, well, then this is it, right?
It's not a normal part of us.
No, it's not. But we choose to be in those vibrations when we complain and when we choose to see the negative and when we, victimhood and all of that. Like we were saying earlier, our natural state, like we are supposed to be joyful, following our bliss, peaceful and content all of the time. And what's a vibrational match to all of that? All of the other good things going on in life. Like we are meant to experience life on an expansive basis and to experience, I think it's in The Science of Getting Rich. Wallace D. Waddell says, like, look, we as humans are here to experience all of life. But you can't experience all of life if you don't have the resources to do so, because we live in a 3D world where you need physical tools and things and supplies and money to be able to experience all of life. So it's natural for us to want to be in expansion. It's natural for us to want more. No matter how much we have, we're always going to want more. That's the other cool thing, is it never stops. It always grows. And some people are like, well, that's exhausting. Like, I don't want to want stuff forever. But yes, you do. You don't want to get to the point where you just have everything the way that you wanted and that's good now, because then, like, what's the point? Exactly. Right. But also knowing that allows me, like, gives me the peace to be able to slow down and go, okay, well, you know what? It's not like I'm not in a hurry to get to the point where I'm going to have everything I want, because I'm never going to get there. So there's no point in going there fast, because then I'm just going to speed through and fast forward through everything that is here to allow me to experience all of life on all of these other planes too. Right. It's, man, we could just go and go and go.
I know. Well, I think everybody got the gist of things here, how important a regulated nervous system is. And it's just, I mean, we're going to repeat this all the time. Mental diet, hyper awareness of your situations, what's creating them, put the opposite out there of what you don't want, and we got to stay believing. You got to keep the faith and knowing that these things are here. They're already done. Speak life into yourself, into your body, into your cells. We could do this. We could do this.
1,000%.
There's no reason why any of us shouldn't have exactly what we want. How we want it.
Exactly. And that's the whole, that's what we're doing. That's the whole goal of what we're doing here, is everybody understands that there's nothing that you cannot have, do, or be. It's just not. Like, everything that you have in your mind now and in the future is meant for you. And it's just breaking down all the things that are preventing you from having it. Right. And so just really quickly, we don't have necessarily resources for nervous system regulation, but you can find it all over, YouTube, internet, whatever. But you're looking for things like Teresa was saying, EFT tapping, which I personally love that one. Different kinds of breath work, or like box breathing or whatever. Somatic healing, meditation obviously is in there. Just anything that find what works for you, but anything that soothes and gets you back to the state of like even keel and peace.
Cold shower.
Yeah.
Ice baths.
That one's tough.
Ice
I can't
facials. The point is to like shock the nervous system to reset it.
Yes, exactly. And then steer the ship in the direction you want to go.
Yep.
Well, it's been another lovely Tuesday, as always. I love hanging out with you. I love hanging out with all of you guys watching too. If you're watching on live or the replay, we appreciate you nonetheless. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you have any questions from today's episode, feel free to drop them in the comment section. We will circle back and answer them. And we will see you back here live as close to 11 o'clock as we can get on Tuesday next week. I'll see you guys there. We love you so much.
Bye.